Department at 251-208-5895. And we'll have a series of rules that I need to kind of go through here. First of all, I'd ask that everyone turn their cell phones or electronic devices to silent so we don't have any disturbances during the meeting. If you have any handouts, that you give those to staff now so that we don't have to stop and try to distribute them. And so as you come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. And you have a 5-minute time limit to speak, at which if the board asks questions and our time runs over, I have the discretion to extend that if I feel that you didn't get ample time. And then there'll be opportunity for 3 others to speak in support, and then 4 in opposition if there should be anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition. Then you get a 2-minute rebuttal. At that time, we'll conclude the public hearing, and then the board will go into deliberation, and we'll give a decision at that time. Takes 5 members to affirm a motion, either to deny or to support an application. We have a quorum. We have 6 out of the 7 voting members here. Even if we have somebody recuse themselves, we'll still have the 5 necessary to approve a motion. And with that, I'll start with roll call, and then we'll proceed with the meeting. Starting with Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis is absent. Mr. Golden? Here. Mr. Metcalf? Here. Mr. Milling? Here. Mr. Carroll? Here. Mr. Morris? Here. And I'm William Guest. We have 6 out of the 7 here, and Mr. Atchison, our supernumerary, is not here as well. Okay, with that, Chair, entertain a motion to approve the agenda. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Agenda is approved as presented. And I don't see a reason to go in any other order. We'll go in order of the agenda. 6603 regarding 7106 Cottage Hill Road. Good afternoon. There should be a button. There we go. You're on.
7101 Cottage Hill Road. My name is Carlton Paris. I'm one of the owners of Paris Ace Hardware. First of all, thank y'all for letting me come speak with y'all. We're excited about doing business with the city of Mobile. And so the reason why I'm here in front of y'all today is that we acquired what was formerly the CVS pharmacy that's on Cottage Hill Road. And so when we acquired the property, there are 2 pylon signs that are already in existence there. And so we're just asking to be able to resurface and reface both pylon signs. Currently, we've already done one of those, which is on the Cottage Hill Road side. And so we're asking to do that on the Sully Road side as well. And so the 3 main reasons we want to do that is, first is that, like I said, it's already existing. So it'd be really cost prohibitive for us to be able to remove the entire pylon sign. And so when we talk with Modern Signs, our contractor, definitely not a road that we want to go down. And obviously we want to look very presentable whenever we do our grand opening here in a few weeks. And so definitely don't want to have to remove that. Second is that there's a lot of congestion within that intersection. Currently us with Wawa, we're planning on having a grand opening together. And so with that, we definitely want everybody to be able to see our entrances. And that way they're not trying to do U-turns inside of Wawa or go up to the intersection, head west, and then try to hold up traffic to be able to turn inside of our parking lot. So definitely for the safety of our customers and also for congestion within that intersection, we definitely would like to have that sign visible for that entrance. And then lastly, for kind of the aesthetics and how that whole intersection looks, Wawa has both a sign on Cottage Hill Road and on the Sully Road side as well. And so we're just trying to match them so that intersection looks kind of the same and also presentable as we kind of revitalize that intersection. So those are our main reasons for that.
Okay, do we have any questions of the board for the applicant? Okay, do we have anyone in the audience either in support or opposition? All right, we have none for the record. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That'll conclude our public hearing on this application. I travel this area quite frequently, and I believe the 2 signs, pylon signs, were initially approved based on the way that intersection flows. And with that, I would be in support of A motion to approve. Chair entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. Second. And that would be consistent with findings of fact?
Yeah, subject to the findings of fact.
Okay, and the second as well?
Yes.
All right. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, application 6604, and I'm not going to read all the addresses. James Tate, just
Brett Orrell with Poly Surveying here and representing the applicant. I think last month we got approval from the Planning Commission for subdivision of this property. In doing so, this is a townhome development. We've rezoned it to R3. So we've got the density in place. What we're here today is to ask for reduction in front setback to 15 feet and then to the side and rears to 0 from the standard. The engineer of record has already got the site plan done and ready to go for permitting. As soon as the acquisition of this property happens after this meeting, they'll be turning that in for permit and looking to go to having properties here that will be sold individually versus say like an apartment complex or condo. So that's the intent here. We are also asking for the site coverage to be increased from the standard at 45% to 55%. Of course, we'll be taking care of all the drainage associated with that to ensure that we retain any water runoff associated with that through the engineering process.
and you said this is townhomes?
Yes. So what's represented there, if you see those blocks, to give you an example, let me see, pick one here. Let's go look at 1 through 8. That would be an 8-unit complex. If you look directly adjacent to that, 9 through 12 is a 4-plex, and then 13 through 18 would be a 6-plex. So you're going to have a combination of 4, 6, and 8 throughout. And those will be individually sold, and that's the reason for the 0 lot lines here as part of that development.
Okay. All right. Any questions for the applicants, Rep?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Brett, what's the reasoning for the private streets?
Okay, so we, number of reasons, I guess, we met with the city on this, city's attorney. Let me walk back for the main reason of that. I think a lot of it was to look at having that reduction of the front setback. We felt like we could, as an HOA, this is kind of a unique development. It would make sense for them to, take care of the retention, really kind of enforce that a little bit more clearly. They're going to have a common area to the northwest corner that will have some amenities as well. So we just felt like it was appropriate to have that availability versus, say, a public road. Also, too, if you look at the configuration, oftentimes in a more, I guess, residential, what you would consider single-family standalone homes, this is more looks like a lot and block. If you look at the sharpness of the corners, we work with the planning commission and the engineering department. If we need easements, utility easements or access easements for sidewalks, we're going to ensure that connectivity is all there. So just felt like it'd make for a more comprehensive development based on the density and ensuring that we had the funding there to maintain those amenities and things.
All right, thank you.
Okay, do I have any additional questions of the board? Okay, do we have anyone else that's in favor of the application? Anyone in opposition? Okay, thank you. That concludes our public hearing on the application. And Chair, entertain comments or questions? All right. Chair, entertain a motion. Don't all speak at once.
Mr. Chair, I motion to approve based on findings and facts.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Applications approved as presented. Application 6605 regarding 3760 Joy Springs Drive. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi. My name is Don Rowe. I'm with Rowe Engineering and Surveying.
Your address, sir?
Sir,
You have an address?
3902 Laughlin Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right. You want to tell us the purpose of the application?
Would you roll it back to page 2? No, this one here. Right. This application concerns the west property line. Does everybody see that on their screen? I know I can see it.
Yeah, we have it on our
You do?
tablets too.
The west property line, the yellow line on my left, I guess it's on your left too. And the property being developed is that cleared space more to the east. It looks more rectangular. The two appendages that go north and south are really the buffer. The application says have a vegetative buffer. I wish they'd have said have a heavily wooded 40-foot wide buffer, which is what the truth is. But it's even wider than that. You can see how many trees are there. So my point is the people on top of the hill are not going to be disturbed by what goes on at the bottom of the hill. And there is a hill there. Let's look at the one with the contours, which is page 9. There you go. You see that wad of lines where the pointer is? That's a 50-foot drop, 50 feet. So the person on top of the hill, he can see downtown Mobile really good, but he can't see the bottom of the hill worth a hoot. Now, I gave one picture of the trees. Somebody's got that up there. Yep. The picture on the top turns out to be the bottom of the hill. The picture on the bottom turns out to be the top of the hill, but the main thing is you can see it's really, really wooded with natural vegetation. So the bottom line in all that is people at the top of the hill are not going to be hurt by this. But the person now this fence deal just came up with the Uniform Development Code, which is what, 9 months old or something like that. The hardship for my client is he would have to scale that mountain up to where the property line is. And on the northern area, it's right in the middle of the trees. Take out the trees and put in a fence. Doesn't make sense to me. So that's it. It ain't bad for the public, and it's a hardship to build that fence for my client. So I'd ask you to approve it. Any questions?
And this is zone B3 by right? They have,
Yes, sir.
okay.
But part of the rezoning condition was that the 40-foot buffer would remain that has been there, and it is shown on their plan, and they are not going to touch it. So
Okay.
his request is so that they don't have to touch it to put the fence in.
Do they intend on putting a fence on the area that's cleared at all?
I can't answer that. I mean,
What's-
certainly not a privacy fence.
Yeah. What's the nature of the business, if I may ask?
These are spec buildings, but they're going to be typical Lakeside Drive office warehouse type occupants.
Okay. So they may put a fence on their own around parking
Right.
lot or something. Okay. Any other questions of the board for the applicant's rep? All right. Do we have anyone in the audience in favor or in opposition to the application? Do we have any public comments regarding?
We did not receive any comments about this application.
Okay. All right, that'll conclude our public hearing regarding this application. And seems to be consistent with the area. Chair will entertain a motion. Mr.
Move for
Chair.
approval, Mr. Chair.
I have a question.
No, I was just gonna say that, I manage a building and have handled a building just right near, 2 lots over, and it's completely consistent with, what they're developing is consistent with what's in there. I think exactly what he said as far as the vegetative buffer and the buffer that they have there is tremendous. And so I think it's completely appropriate what they're requiring, or what they're requesting, I'm sorry.
All right, thank you. Mr. Metcalf, you had a motion?
Yes, motion to approve, based on findings of facts and, clear hardship.
All right. Do I have a second?
I wanted to
Yes.
mention one thing about the
Yes.
traffic engineering comments. They were
Pull your
just,
mic where we can hear you.
sorry. I wanted to mention one thing about the traffic engineering comments. I just noticed that they seem to be copied wrong. It should be no traffic impacts anticipated by this variance request, not to confuse anybody. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I have a motion to approve based on findings of fact. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, for this next case, we do have another handout.
I'm sorry.
We have a handout for this next item.
Okay, thank you. Just for those of us that don't know you, your name and address, sir.
Jerry Bird, Bird Servan, 2609 Halls Mill Road, Mobile.
And the nature of your application, sir.
Yes. The property, the existing property is zone B2, and they would like to locate an automobile sales on site, which requires a B3. There is automobile sales on the west side. It's zone B3, and there's an existing sales yard there. On the east side is the VFW Lodge, zone B2. As you can see, maybe another 400, 500 feet is zone B2. Across Highway 90 is zoned B3. I think that's U-Haul it on that side of the road. Traditionally, this will be a somewhat quiet business. Somebody comes in, they're not going to be yelling at each other to talk about a car sale. The site's not big enough to really use a PA system. They wasn't planning on using one anyway. But that's the proposal.
Okay, any questions of the board for the applicant? Did we have any public comments regarding this application?
No, sir, there were no comments.
As illustrated in the pictures provided, looks like parking tends to be also in the easement. How will that be managed?
Well, on the adjacent property where there's also apparently auto sales, parking that's occurring in the right-of-way for Government Boulevard, I believe that since that's an ALDOT facility, that ALDOT is responsible for any regulation of that. And in the past, I don't know that they have been very assertive in removing vehicles. So the city, I don't think, has any jurisdiction to have the vehicles removed from the Government Boulevard right-of-way.
Okay. I didn't know if we needed to make sure that's clear in the application. Okay. All right. Any questions of the board for the applicant? All right. Do we have anyone in the audience either in support or opposition today? In support? Opposition? Yeah, if you'll come to the podium.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Enzor. My address is 2305 Government Street, not the Boulevard Street. Okay. This property is the Boulevard. And the pictures that were passed around were ones that I went to take today. And the topic about city not being able to enforce on the right-of-way or easement, that was not the case in 2017 when another used car lot was granted a variance and had a limited number of spaces, and they violated it continuously. Okay, it was also on the boulevard. It was Star Imports at 2667 Government Street. So my opposition here is that Mr. Bird's drawing is excellent. Doesn't show anything going on that right of way, which I don't know whose right of way it is. It may be electrical, it may be water. But there's 82 feet shown right there between Government Boulevard and that line for that lot. That is not the property owners either. So when I drove by, I could barely see the zoning meeting sign for all of the vehicles that are already there. There are over 24 sitting in there right now. So whenever motivated this hearing right here, which my guess is would be a business license, it appears that the business has already taken place and in violation of the recommendations of staff as far as the number of parking spaces for inventory. 9. From those pictures, you can count just going like this, more than 12, and there's a whole bunch more behind that.
Okay, any questions of the board for the, what was your name again?
Chris Enzor.
Ms.
Opposition.
Enzor.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question for the staff.
Yes.
I think this woman is talking about the one that was approved where Papa George's, is that what that was?
Well, there was that one. Then there was the one across the
Okay,
street,
'Cause
straight
I
across.
do remember that one, and I think there were some limitations. I
Well,
can't remember exactly.
you're correct. There was one at the Papa George's location, and then there was the one on the south side as well that Ms. Enzor has mentioned. And that one did have a limit on the number of vehicles that could be parked. And I think the board may have also included a prohibition of putting cars in the right-of-way. In that case as well, though, there was also a service road right at the front,
Yeah,
I believe,
right.
of that site. In this location, there was supposed to be a service road along all of Government Boulevard. It just was never built in this area. So, and my reference regarding enforcement issues relates to a site that we had even further out Government Boulevard near Tillman's Corner, where we had difficulty trying to get the vehicles removed from the public right-of-way. When we contacted ALDOT, they maybe indicated that it wasn't allowed, but they were not necessarily as enforcement oriented.
Okay, any other questions of the board? All right, thank you. Mr. Byrd, you want to, any comments and rebuttal?
I did go by the site probably last week. I think the proposed leasee is storing some vehicles on the property. Looked like they were in the right of way, not selling from there because it's not legal to sell from there yet. I don't know. They'll have to move them if that's the case.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Byrd? All right, thank you. Oh, Mr. Byrd, I do have a question for you. Based on the drawings, it looks like 13. How many spaces did you
I don't know.
determine were available? I just did a quick count. It looked like 13 unless there's something in the front that I don't
I'll have
count.
to count them. 13.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I was by there Saturday and looked to me, I didn't count them, but it looked to me like there were a heck of a lot more than 13 vehicles out there. Looked pretty full to me, including right away. I believe it's this one here, next to the VFW.
That's 13 on asphalt, concrete, hard surface. There's a landscape area in the back. I said landscape, green area that, you know, easily be parked on and in front of the building too. But
Yeah.
it's not paved.
Thank you. All right. Well, just based on the pictures, it looks like they're exceeding what would be an acceptable number. If 13 is what's been determined by the engineer. Mr. Anderson, you have something?
I'm not sure I heard everything correctly. Jerry's talking about 13 cars in the right of way on this site,
No,
Mm-mm.
on the paved.
on the
Property
paved
itself.
area. Does the staff recommendation state what their maximum is?
So the staff report mentions that there are 13 spaces on site, but 4 parking spaces are required. So if you look in your considerations, a condition that is recommended to the board, should you approve this request, is that the site be limited to no more than 9 vehicles for inventory on site.
And you could add a condition as far as the enforcement. I'm not saying we can or can't, but if we have a condition that no cars are to be parked in the right of way, that would give us a little more authority.
But a total of 13 on the site, whether it's employees or inventory.
Well, 13 are currently on the site. They're only required to have 4. So the remainder should be for inventory.
So I'm just looking at a total. Okay. Yeah. All right. Any further discussion? I would agree that if we have a motion to approve that limitation of the 13 with it being prohibited to park anything in the right of way or on the green space that's identified on the drawings. And with that, Chair, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve, subject to the 4 parking places, 9 additional spaces available for vehicles on site for a maximum of 13 vehicles total, and prohibition of displaying any of the cars on the ALDOT right-of-way and green space outside the property line.
All right, I have a motion with conditions. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. So I have one opposed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the motion carries. All right, thank you. And application number 4 regarding 2534 Government Boulevard. This is a follow-up.
No, that was the one you just completed, was
Yeah, that's
application
what I was
number 4.
going to say.
So applications number 5 and 6 are both for the same site, but one is a use variance and one is a site variance.
Okay, 6607, and this is an application, Mr. Millings has asked that he be recused.
And Mr. Chairman, we do have comments for this case and the next case as well.
Okay, and I want to make sure you're clear on this. It takes 5 to approve a motion, either in support or opposition. So any one of us 5 vote in opposition, then the motion will fail because we only have 6 here today. So it's to your, I guess, prerogative if you want to follow through with the application today, or would you rather hold over when we have more members here? So, well, if you have one recused and one opposed, that, yeah, because Mr. Milling has stated that he feels that he needs to recuse himself. So, do you want to proceed, or do you want to wait until next month and we'll have six here to vote in? Yeah, we'll have 7 then. I just want to make you aware of that.
Yeah, we've had this property and trying to, like, doing all of our due diligence as much as actually possible to get to this point since the end of January, beginning of February. And we're having a surprise baby in November, and so we're really feeling the push to move forward. Obviously, we don't want to be in a place where we're, having to undo everything that we've done at this point.
Sure,
either.
I
So,
understand.
I mean, we're open to what you guys' recommendation.
Well, not just that, we have public comment in opposition.
Yep, Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Mr. Metcalf?
Yeah, just to help clarify for you, what he's trying to say is, or he didn't quite mention, is that if you get turned down here, you're stuck for 6 months and can't do anything. If you decide to withdraw, then you've only got to wait 30 days. Okay? Now, that doesn't guarantee you.
Or if they hold over.
With
That's what I'm
withdrawals are the same as denials under the UDC. So if they were to withdraw it, it would have to wait 6 months to resubmit.
Now, holdover,
Well,
you could
I'm
request,
in a holdover.
if you would like a holdover, it could be 30 days or 60 days. 30 days is probably what you need if that's the way you want to go. That allows us to have the other members present and you have a full board here to hear your application and to vote. I'm not saying we're going to vote either way, and I understand timing is important to you, but I would also not want you to have to wait 6 months if for some reason it was denied. So I always tell every applicant when we have this situation, the same thing.
But can you guys give us recommendations on what to do, especially with the comments that we received? Because I think that there's misunderstanding about what this building's going to be used for. We had a hard time figuring out how to word what we actually wanted to use this for. He's a counselor, so it's a counseling office that's more of a holistic space. So how can we address some of those comments?
How many,
Because I don't think
what
that-
comments did we have again?
It had to do with
If you'll let staff.
Well, we only, I think, received 2 comments, and I believe you were copied on those comments, so you
Yeah.
may have the
Yeah, I saw
contact information for those people providing the comments. So you could email them and let them know that you would like to discuss what you're proposing with those people.
Okay.
And perhaps you can allay their concerns that they may have for the use of the property.
Usually just meeting with the community and meeting with the neighbors is what addresses those concerns.
Okay, so just find those people and directly address it with them.
Or you could ask, you could have a community meeting with them too. You can invite them and let them see what you have in mind. That's up to you.
And staff could email the people who submitted the comments and let them know that the applicants would like to talk to them, just so they have discussion. And also, Ms. Cross reminded me that, or Ms. York, that they also are looking at having to go through the architectural review board process since they are located in a historic district. And they have submitted their application already, so I believe that'll be heard next week.
21st,
Or the week afterwards, so that'll give them time as well to resolve any issues with their location in a historic district.
Yeah, that usually benefits you here as well, because then we have to defer on some of those questions. So I'll pose the question to you. As the applicant, do you wish to hold over 30 days to meet with those that might have had comments and also resolve any architectural review board questions, or do you want to proceed?
Yeah.
I know you come down here today and you've spent time, but just trying to make sure you see the big picture.
Okay.
Tell you
We'll
what.
wait.
So you want to hold over?
Mhm.
All right, 30 days sufficient?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. All right. Do we have anyone in the audience? Do you have comments regarding this application? Okay. Okay, the applicant's going to wish to hold over, so we're going to be hearing this next month if it's approved.
Maybe I've been invited to the community meeting, but I can also say what I was going to say.
Then proceed. Your name and address again.
I'm Chris Enzer. My address is 2305 Government Street, 36606. My comments regarding this development is the paving up the front yard on Dolphin Street, right there. Residents across the street, residents, neighbors. Via is the other neighbor, yes. But it just seems like with the problem with residential properties being available in this city that it's a little extreme to go turn this one into personal gym when it could be a residential property with a family living in it. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? All right, thank you. All right. You still wish to hold over, correct? Okay. All right, the applicant's requested hold over for 30 days. With that, Chair, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move for a holdover for 30 days.
All right, I have a motion to hold over 30 days. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion's approved. All right, any other business
Do we-
for today? Yes,
Do we need to hold both of them over? Or
my understanding would be
was that the
both, right?
implication?
That decision applies to both number 5 and number 6.
Yes.
Okay.
Good point. All right, and Frank, did I hear you say you're retiring? Well, well, thank you for your time. Yeah, I remember from the early days. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you again. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Mr. Anderson, my understanding you've got a few items for us?
Yes, we have 5 decisions of the board that have been appealed to circuit court. I want to give y'all a summary or an update on those. A couple of them have been resolved. The first one is the Old Dolphin Way Association versus the Board of Adjustment. That has to do with Griffith Shell and the variance that was granted to allow truck leasing. The Old Dolphin Way Association appealed that, and their motion for summary judgment is set sometime in October. The association, both parties have their own counsel, and I'm just taking a back seat and letting Griffith's personal attorney handle that, the defense. But I'm staying involved, but not taking the lead on that. Second one has been resolved. Finney versus the BOA. That had to do with a telecommunications tower off Rangeline Road. Y'all approved it. It was appealed by a neighbor, Mr. Finney. During the appeal, both sides reached a settlement where Mr. Finney, the telecommunications company moved it to the north side of the property. Y'all approved that, I believe, last month. So that matter was dismissed by settlement. Third one, Playhouse Foods versus BOA. That had to do with the property at 64 North Julius Street when they had applied to do a commercial kitchen in an R1 property. They are currently out in the old Tanner's Pecan building on Springdale Road. And that went to trial last month. One of my associates handled that, and the judge upheld the denial. Fourth one was Reggie Hill versus the BOA. That had to do with the Texas Street property where the bus company wanted to use that structure, that old church property, warehouse, big building, to store their buses. And the judge dismissed that case because we were able to show that Mr. Hill did not have standing to appeal a decision of this board. You have to be an aggrieved party. That's a legal term, and we were able to prove that he was not an aggrieved party because he did not own any property in the city of Mobile, let alone in this neighborhood. And finally, the St. Ignatius Parish Cemetery. The Sandtown community has hired their own attorney. So again, I'm involved, but not taking the lead. I'm letting the association's attorney take the lead. She wanted it. And so we have taken several depositions in that case. I think there are going to be a few more depositions, and we're exchanging discovery. And I'm assuming that will be heard in a trial sometime this fall. That's it.
All right. Okay. Yes.
If he does something like that, I mean, he just put the bill for filing that, or?
Well, that's the third case he's filed against the city this year. Matter of fact, he's appealed this one. I forgot. He's appealed this one to the Court of Civil Appeals. And in the ones in circuit court, he files a affidavit of financial hardship. And those have been granted. When he appealed at the circuit Court of Civil Appeals in Montgomery, same thing. They had to grant him an extension to make financial arrangements with the court reporter to provide a transcript of the proceedings. I think his deadline on that's August 15, but the filing fees, the court weighs, I mean, they don't have to, but if they have, based upon his affidavit of financial hardship. But deposition costs, anything else, he's got to pay for himself.
Okay.
And we got another one not related to this board, but Friday we've got a hearing on his lawsuit to get an injunction against the demolition of the Civic Center. So he likes to file a lot of things.
All right. Any other business for the board?
I just wanted to thank Doug for the summary. I think it's helpful. It helps us understand what, no, well, I think it just helps knowing where it goes from here. And I think it helps us as we. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Doug.
The last item is just the February 5th and March 4th, 2024 meeting minutes.
I have those. Yes. Did everyone have the opportunity to review the minutes?
Yep.
Is everyone in agreement with the minutes as they're presented?
Yep.
All right. I will sign those as presented. They're approved. All right. Once again, thank you for everyone's time. That concludes our Board of Adjustment for August